Shalom, this is Sophia, the American Miriam, and I tried to do this as a live, but that's not, it didn't work. So I want to do more videos and talk about some of the things that I'm finding out, and some stuff. I'm trying to make it so I can't see my phone. It's so weird. Some of the stuff I'm finding out is like really shocking, and I don't want to hold on to it too long because I want people to be able to take advantage of the information that's coming out as quickly as it's coming out if possible. So, all right. So the priest and priestesshood of Melchizedek is in Orthodoxy. The primary way we know this is because any priest will tell you this. When they are blessing you, they have a blessing cross. You kiss the hand of the priest, etc., etc. That is under the authorization of the priesthood of Melchizedek, which makes the Orthodox priests and deacons and all of that in that priesthood. Now, we know Melchizedek is a compound word. It's Melchi and Zedek. So what I have been trying to figure out is, where's the priestesshood of Zedek? Where is that at? So how do we know that this is connected? There's a lot of different ways, but this is the conclusion that I came to and how I came to it. So I have been looking at the icons, and remember, the icons are just pictures. They're like photographs, because whether they had photographs or not at that time, we cannot be certain. But they do have pictures, and the pictures are like photographs. And so when you see people, it's called veneration. When you see people venerating the icons, it is as if, imagine yourself looking in a photo album, with your grandmother that you love or your great grandmother that you love, and you may find yourself kissing the picture, just remembering how, the good times. That is what the kissing of the icons is about. It's remembering the good times, remembering them in their best form. And I found a lot of this out by studying the icons, right? Because I was just not confused, I just had some questions about how certain things were done, why certain things were done. And I knew that the answers I was getting from people was not the right answers. People have people don't key in on certain things the way that we do, I do. So I went looking. So how do I know the priestesshood is in this, is in here too? Okay. If you look at any of the icons of Mary, the ones where you can see her feet, it is said that she is always wearing red shoes. Now, I'm going to talk about the rest of her garments in a minute, but I'm going to start with the shoes. Now, when you look at other icons with people's feet, if Jesus, he's always wearing sandals. The disciples are always wearing sandals. But Mary almost always has shoes on. And even some of the other ones where you can see their feet, they don't have shoes. But Mary always has shoes. And those shoes are always red. And so that was a very key factor to me when I read it, to say, okay, this is not by coincidence. Why? Why do I say that? What is the most well-recognized shoe in the world? Would that not be Louis Vuittons or whatever the ones with the red bottoms are? I don't know, because I don't follow shoes. But I know that it not just the shoes. Louis Vuittons have red lining. That's how you know whether it's a real Louis Vuitton or not. There in the conspiracy world, you had that red shoe club where all of those men would wear red shoes, and I won't go into detail about that, but they had a red shoe club, okay? And you could look up the pictures for that. They're pretty grotesque. So that stood out to me, because why would these powerful men all be wearing red shoes, and literally the only icon with someone wearing shoes is Mary, and the shoes are red? That was a really big, okay, that was a confirmation point to me that, again, like I have said, they call Mary the Mother of God, Theotokos, Those are all titles, okay? The mother of God. Are we not, as black women, the mothers of gods? Do we not birth gods? Okay? Mary, we already know she was a high priestess because she grew up in the temple just like our brother did. That was not by coincidence. That is because she was initiated into this priestesshood. And this priestesshood is, Jesus was initiated into the priesthood of Melchizedek. And I know that, like I said, because the priest told me when they bless us, it's under the order of the priesthood of Melchizedek. So what does the priestesshood look like? Because in the Orthodox Church, you will notice if you go, the women do not serve behind the altar. And I realize, just from observing why that might be. If the woman can invoke this priestesshood without saying anything, what are the men doing when they are invoking the words? They're leading the service. They're just going in order. Why? Because as we've discussed many times, what is the order of things? The order of things is 0 is the Most High. He is outside of creation. So when they conduct the services, they are behaving outside of creation. But what are they doing? They're influencing the one who is inside of creation, which is the woman. So the woman's job is to take all of that energy that they're putting out when they conduct the services and transmute it and transform it into usable energy. The men cannot really do that. They don't transform stuff the way that women do. That is our job. That's what we were built for. And so, of course, the men will be conducting the service because the women need to be taking in all of the experiences and transmuting it. And also making sure that it is taught properly to the children. If the women were conducting the service, how could they teach the children, during the service how to conduct themselves? They would be too focused on officiating the service. So it makes sense. And so people always say, well, at my church, luckily, they are very, very conscious about the role of women. And so what they have the women do a few things. One thing is when they are doing the communion, holy smokes, I'm down to my ankles. Almost my kneecaps. Let me slide over a little bit. When they're doing the service, the women hold the garment during the communion, which is a sacrament. And that it doesn't seem like that basically seems like where it stops. But when you think about the role that women have to play outside the service, which is the evangelism part, the part where they're, comforting and teaching, and you can see these things by looking at the monasteries that the women started and what they did. And what I was reading is that a lot of women were specifically engaged in healing. That was really the woman's role, is healing. Now the men, they have prayers that they say that do the healing. But the women, they have things information they take in, they process. They're solely focused on the growing of the church, the growing of the body, the health and wellness of the body. And the men are more so focused on the order. And that's how it would be if you were in a household with two people, you know what I mean? The man would be focused on maintaining order, and the woman would be focused on the well-being and the overall, cohesiveness. So the priestesshood and the priesthood of Melchizedek mimic the way that we are supposed to conduct ourselves. Now, I want to add to this that I was having a conversation with my dad, and I was explaining to him how, the demonic nine, as I call them, they took all this information and they perverted it. And I could talk about that forever, and I don't want this video to be too long. But they took all that information, they perverted it, right? And so how do we know that? What did all the organizations do that? That's the question. And I told him, no, the Masons are different. Why are the Masons different? Because the Masons took the practical part, the non-religious part of the priesthood of Melchizedek, right? And they implemented those things. Now, because it's a quote-unquote secret society, what happened was they started allowing in these divine nine people, and it all got corrupted. But prior to that, if you look at all the secret organizations, the Odd Fellows and all of that stuff from the 1800s, what they were doing was exactly the same things that are done in the Orthodox Church, but without Jesus attached to it. Under the authority of Jesus, yes, but without the religion attached to it. It's not like they operate under the authority of themselves. They do not. They operate under the authority of Jesus, or under the authority of Melchizedek. I would have to see some more documents to tell you for sure. But I know one thing. Holy smokes. What in the world? Y'all look at this. Hold on. What the heck? Look at this. I don't know what that is. Okay. It's not Trump Force One. I can tell you one thing. I walk on this beach every day, and there's always planes when I'm out here. That's no coincidence. Anyway. I'm about to be, I'm about to get washed away again. Okay, sir. Oh, all right, sir. I slid over. Okay. At least Rahaviel is chilling today. Okay, so of course we got beautiful Oriole over here. All right, so what does this mean? What does it? So in regards to the Masons, why are the Masons different? Because again, they took they didn't put a religion topic on it, and they still operate some of them under the authority of Melchizedek and the priesthood of Melchizedek, right? Which Jesus is the high priest of. And we found that out in Hebrews 7. You can go and check that out. And so, if Jesus is the priest, the high priest of the priesthood of Melchizedek, who is the high priestess of the priesthood of Melchizedek? And that would be Mary Magdalene. Why? She was equal with the disciples. Equal. All of them were initiated into the priesthood, and therefore she had to have been initiated into the priestesshood. Who would have initiated her? That would have probably been Mother Mary, because Mary is a title. That's why you have Mary Magdalene, Mary Martha, all of these Marys. Mary is a title. They would have recognized that as a title. So maybe it wasn't Mary specifically, but this is how this thing goes. She would have been taught the ropes from Mary if she didn't already know them, being that she was already a priestess in her own regards, due to her already having the title of Mary, already being in the temple, see, this is why they tried to make her sound like she was a prostitute. These Negroes were mad because she was not from the Levitical priesthood. She had her own thing, the Sibylline priestesshood, this priestesshood of Zedekiah, that she was already in, already running, already high up. That's why when Jesus saw her, he brought her in as his equal. Men won't even do that now. I've been talking about this stuff for a whole year, and no man on this internet has talked about me as if I'm their equal. Not one. And I'm not saying they have to. Please don't. But not one has. But what did our brother do? He brought Mary Magdalene in as equal. So, I wanted to get this out because I know how people are. You know, there's a lot of stuff. Brother Yosef did a video. I thought it was very, very important for people to understand that in order to, there's a lot of shows right here, in order to properly now is the word, in order to properly learn any secret organization, you have to either initiate yourself, be self-initiated, or you have to get initiated in. In his case, he used Wicca. What does that mean? He followed the high days, he did the practices, the customs, so on and so forth. For those people who would be very uncomfortable with that, Orthodoxy is your alternative. If you go through the process, and I'm not saying it's an easy process, I'm still just at the very beginning, and I'm taking each thing I learn as new. And the reason I have to do this like this is because my North Node is in Taurus. And that puts me as the highest in the room, as the Hierophant. I'm in that energy. However, my South Node is in Scorpio. A lot of my planets are in Scorpio. So that means, which is why I'm out here grounding in the water, much better for me than grounding in the grass, even though I'm an earth sign. Which means I have to be able to humble myself to learn from the outside what needs to be learned. I have to take all of my prior knowledge, everything that I know, and set it aside and come to the Most High as a child, as if I do not know. That is what I have to do. That is my mission on this life cycle. And, you know, your planets placements will tell you that. You know, if you've gotten a reading from me, you know I've talked about that. You know, this is something that it comes up quite often because people are trying to figure out what they're supposed to do. Everything is in your chart. Everything is in your chart. What it is that we don't know our charts. We don't know our charts backwards and forwards. We don't know how to read our charts. We don't understand our charts. So I suggest if you haven't done anything else before you do anything else, you need to study your chart. You need to study what each placement means. You need to look up the subtle energies. It's a lot of stuff that we can be doing while we're waiting for whatever is going to happen next. But I highly suggest, if people are looking for a pathway to be initiated into the priestesshood or priesthood of Melchizedek that has no, which is user-friendly and not where you will actually learn the practices that were done in the past and be illuminated and be able to gather with others and really, you know, create that family that you're looking for, I highly suggest the Orthodox Church. I would suggest it again and again and again. And what's funny about all of this, I want you all to understand, the Most High gave me the answer of Orthodoxy before I knew the question. I started going to the Orthodox Church last year, 2022, in January or February. No, I think it was February or March. Okay, I wasn't on this side. I hadn't done no research, read no books, nothing. I already was given the answer. And then the Most High gave me the question. Some people, that's how it is. You'll be given the answer first, and then the Most High will give you the question. Don't reject it. A lot of people are just rejecting everything. They're rejecting church. They're rejecting it. You have to find the one that has the answer. And no, the Roman Catholic Protestant Church may not have the answer. Although it may have the answer for some people. Don't judge anybody's walk. But for the advanced people who tend to watch my page, if you're looking for the answer to where you will not be lonely while you're walking this walk, and you will have people who you can commune with and have somewhere you can put your energy that will yield you a result, I suggest Orthodoxy. And I'm going to talk to some more Black Orthodox and bring some more information like that on the page because I was referred to Orthodoxy by a Black person. I mean, on the internet, but still, it was a person of color and who is a devout Orthodox, and I'm eternally grateful for that. So if you're having trouble finding a church near you, you can also send me an email and I will ask him to look, because I don't know enough about the churches to make a recommendation. But if you are in Jacksonville and you want a church to go to, just send me a message and I'll tell you where I go. If you are in PG County, Southern Maryland, and you want a church to try out, I went to one over the weekend that I would highly recommend. It was really, really nice. Because what we have to do now is we have to take back our positions in the priesthood. It's not that they don't deserve to be there. I don't even want that to be a thought. It's just that we also need a place in the priesthood. And the only way to get it is to go there. You're not going to bring how are you going to learn? Listen, there are people who think somehow they're going to learn a whole organization of things from a book. I didn't even realize that the priest was blessing us in the priesthood of Melchizedek until I had a conversation. Some of these things have to be learned by talk. Someone has to say them to you. Some of these things are learned by sight. Looking at the icons is what made me think, wait a second, why is Mary's icon always different? Like way different than everyone else's. And she has shoes on. No one else has shoes on. What's that about? The men all have sandals. She has shoes. Shoes. So you know what kind of person she was. She was certainly one of our people. We are all into shoes. Not me, but us in general. So yeah. And red shoes at that. Not black shoes, not modest looking shoes. No, she got on red shoes. Oh, let me talk about the rest of what Mary has on. So this is why you need to actually go to places and look them out. So a lot of people talk about that scripture where it talks about in Revelations, where it talks about she was clothed with the stars and all of that. Well, Mary's cloak in the icons represents that. So you can look at that multiple ways. That thing has multiple interpretations. But the interpretation you're supposed to draw from it, from the icons, is that is the story of Mary giving birth to Jesus. Because on Mary's cloak, which is called a mapharon, which has the word map in it, her cloak is always like a reddish, purplish color. Reddish color, kind of like Redskins colors. You want to know where all this stuff was happening. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's always like a reddish, purplish color. And it has like 3 stars on the top. And it's embroidered in gold. And when I was looking into the information about the icons, you know, people are wearing the things that they would have worn at the time. So you have a person like Saint Mary of Egypt. She was very poor. She was naked. They didn't want to picture her naked because it would take away from her and what she did and who she was. And you would focus on that instead of focusing on, you know, her story and the message behind her story. And so you have some people who are rich, and what you will notice about them is they have crowns on. They have crowns on. They got finest linens. They got, you know, scepters and all that. Why? They were royalty. The icons, it's just like when you take a portrait, right? Like just in general, if you go to the mall and you take some little portraits, it's going to be the best picture of you. That's exactly what the icons are. They're you and you're at your best, not you at your worst, because you want to be remembered as your best. When you put pictures on the funeral, not the funeral, the program for the funeral, they're always the best pictures of you. They're not how you look once you're dead. They're how you look when you were alive. And that's what the icons are. They're pictures of how these people looked when they were alive. And so, good gracious. I'm up to my ankles, past my ankles. But there's so many shelves right here that I don't want to go too far up. I'm going to hurt my feet. Anyway, so that's what you're getting when you look at the icons. It's a lot of information that's conveyed in these things, but you would never know because you've never been to a church so that you could see them up close. And it's not the same looking at them on the internet. I promise you, it's not the same. I know people want to say, oh, you know, I'll just look. No, it's not the same. I'll look them up. I'll watch online. I'll do this. No, now is the time. Your abundance is not on the internet. It may be through the internet, but it's not on the internet. Your abundance is getting out and, you know, converting the world. But before you can convert anybody, you have to be trained. And the training a lot of us have received has not been good. So if you want to get the proper training, you better go somewhere where they're properly training people. And I'm not saying every Orthodox church is perfect. Every Orthodox church is great. No. But the Holy Spirit can fill in the gaps if you go out and give it a try. But if you don't go out and give it a try, there's no gaps for the Holy Spirit to fill. You know, I realized that the reason why some people, you know, like with tarot readers, for example, right? You know, some of them, their specialization is trauma. Some of them, their specialization is like court holding cases, hearing the worst situations, stuff like that. Some of them, their specialization is, how to remove the trauma, things like that. Everybody has their specialization. I realize that's because that's based on how much knowledge you have. For example, I'm the only one with a tarot spiral, right? So nobody is going to be able to read the cards in the way that I do because I'm the only one with this particular set of knowledge and has started working to apply it. So you're not going to hear anybody talking about, the Empress energy being tied up with the world energy and temperance. Nobody's going to put it like that because I'm the only one who have that knowledge, and that knowledge was given to me from the Holy Spirit. So when you want to know about timing, specific things, you may come to someone like me. But I'm not good at dealing with trauma because my life wasn't that traumatic. So if you have extremely traumatic things that have happened to you, you have to go to a reader who specializes in trauma. That's what they know. Not that they're stuck in it, but they understand it. Me, I know it. I'm familiar with it. I understand it in general, but I didn't grow up with that much trauma. So I'm not going to be able to help you as much as somebody who that's all they do. Or you have some tarot readers who know astrology very well, and they will be able to help you with things related to your chart. But you have some tarot readers that don't do astrology, so they can't really help you with that. You have to, again, this is what I was talking about before about having a specialist. You have to have spiritual specialists. If I wanted a mediumship done, I know for a fact I'm going to Mommy Omega. Hands down, period. Because I know that she's about that life. She's about that, she could do it. But if you came to me for that, I would be like, you need to go to Mommy Omega. That's her specialization. That's what she does. I don't really talk to the spirits like that. I'm not on that level. If I ever get to that level, that might not be a thing for me. I don't know. But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it is when I know that it may or may not be. So, anyway, I hope that this helps people who are, trying to figure out what to do. They're lost. They feel like they've lost, a family, a community, because things are different now than they were before. And I'm just telling you, there is a family, there is a community out there waiting for you, but it's not on the internet. I'm sorry. It's not on the internet. You're going to have to get up and go out and seek it. And this, now that I'm putting into the ley line, is the test. You pass one test, are you going to pass? This is graduation. This is what graduation looks like. How difficult do you think it was for me to, after a whole year, realize I should have never came from out the church? That church that I was going to, because that's the one Most High sent me to. But I spent a whole year fiddling around, and I could have been baptized, getting the sacraments by now, but I had to go all the way around the world like this so that I could tell you all, this is what happened. The Most High gave me the answer before I even asked the question. Before I even knew there was a question. Before I even knew there was a priestesshood. The Most High gave me the answer. I had no idea. And so I implore you all, take a good inventory of what you want to achieve. Listen, here's another thing. I made a video about this. I didn't post it, so I'm going to go ahead and say it again. Saturn is going into retrograde on June the 18th. Okay? It's going into retrograde at the exact same degree as Jupiter. This means that if you do not have it figured out how you intend on approaching money for the next 6 months until Saturn comes out of retrograde on November the 4th, you will be stuck doing whatever it is you're doing for the next 6 months. This is what happened to me. Last year, when it was in Aries, I was stuck in the same cycle for 6 whole months until Saturn came out of retrograde, just so that I could learn the lesson. And I promise you, you will be stuck in the same cycle for 6 months. Now, the bad thing about this is that the very next day, so that whole weekend, is going to be Juneteenth celebrations. So you have a lot of Negroes that are going to be, for the next 6 months, screaming and hollering about reparations. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But they're not going to be doing anything to get it. They're just going to be talking about it. And that could be very dangerous. Not fear-mongering. I'm just telling you, this is what's going to be happening. These people are going to be stuck in Groundhog Day. That's what the whole Groundhog Day is. That time when Saturn goes into retrograde every year. That's your Groundhog Day. And it's not in February. Picture that. It's not in February. It's in February sometimes, but sometimes it's not. So they're going to be repeating that whole cycle. And so if you want to be repeating that cycle, yelling and screaming about reparations, that's fine. Yelling and screaming about reparations is not getting reparations. Understand that. That's what's going to be happening for the next 6 months. And so you have a few weeks to think very, very carefully about what position you want to be in for the next 6 months. And if you can maintain that, when whatever happens, whatever that's going to happen starts happening. I don't know. I don't profess to know. I may be a prophetess, but I'm not that kind. So I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know that people are going to be stuck in the same cycle. Okay, that water came fast. Look, that was coming in fast. It's coming in fast, y'all. Water trying to tell me a message, and I missed it. It's coming in fast. You have very, very little time to get yourself prepared, to plan your strategy. Very little time. The full moon is this weekend. You know, full moon is asking for things to be illuminated, asking for things to be increased. You know, we've gone over enough rituals by now. You should be able to figure out what to do. Always good idea to burn some ancestor money. Dang. You know, always a good idea to burn some ancestor money. So can't go wrong with that. Write down what you want. Write, burn, and release, and some ancestor money. That's a good go-to for full moon and new moon. Things to be taken away at the new moon. Things to be increased at the full moon. Okay? So you have, yes, Sarah Hell agrees. So you have very, very little time to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, what it means to you, all of that. And so I implore you, you know, get yourself enmeshed in this priestesshood. A lot of stuff you can learn online, so you don't want to go to church, that's fine. Just look up the practices, look up the habits, look up the stuff. At least get yourself aligned with the priesthood and the priestesshood. If you don't want to actually take the jump and do it, that's fine. But if you want a religious structure, a priestesshood structure you can easily employ, that is everywhere you go, everywhere you visit. There's always an Orthodox church somewhere nearby. You can do it, because it's not about the church. It's about you unlocking the power that is in the church, that is waiting for you to unlock, that is not for no one else to unlock but you. And you know, y'all can take this how you want to take it. I know what this thing is doing for me. I know what I'm learning. I know what I'm feeling. I know what I'm getting. And because nobody can take that away from me. So I hope that everyone has not everybody, I hope that all my brothers and sisters, love and light, are blessed immensely today. And I pray that each one of you are able to capitalize on this once in a lifetime opportunity, because Saturn conjunct Jupiter, it never happens. This is the only time that it happens. I looked at all of the things. Never happens. Never happens. And so I'm going to implore all of you all to take advantage of this once in a lifetime opportunity, because it will not come again. And this is going to set you up financially for the rest of your life. This is what is going to lock you in. You're going to be locked into this frequency. Especially if you just do stuff unconsciously for the rest of your life. And they know that. And they know that. So just pay attention. Love you guys, and see you in the next video.